Good evening, one and all, and welcome to a Sunday chat with me, Andy the Gabby Cabby. Good to see everyone in the house, and thank you very much for joining me. Uh, St. Patrick's Day, yes, 17th of March, absolutely. So I hope you've all got something on. I certainly will afterwards. If I start drinking now, my words will get in a mucking fuddle, like absolutely average. Speaking of which, he's in the house, and glad to see that he got back okay after his long drive back home from his mum's. So that's great. Hello, Clown World YT. Good to see you, my friend. Uh, Another great YouTuber there. Go and subscribe to Clown World YT. Absolutely average. He's not wrong. Mucking fuddle. Absolutely. Particularly after a few grouses as well. Yeah, I had a bit of a problem yesterday because I've started doing videos at the weekend again on Saturdays, and I was forced to put this up as a post, camera shy. And the reason I was camera shy is on the Friday night, I went to see my friend Dave, and Dave and I proceeded to drink rather too much. And then when I got home, I carried on a bit. I woke up yesterday morning and I felt like absolute trash. I was not a pretty sight, and I just couldn't do anything. Hi, Mum. Good to see you in the chat. Not long now, we'll be taking a little trip ourselves, me and my mum. She's going to be getting a new dog, which is good. So, yes, we've got that to look forward to. Now, what else have we got? I got sent this earlier as well. Somebody said something about the BBC in that they've been caught, or employees of the BBC have been caught liking videos on social media they shouldn't do. And somebody sent me this. So I thought that was rather appropriate for the cause and right on topic. So all good. If you don't stop lying, you'll grow up to be a BBC reporter. There's a bit of truth in that nowadays. Impartiality, my eye. Absolutely. Right, let's see who we've got. Stuart Howes, Blue Angel, Jean-Marc, Bruss, Bloodnose, Julie Baldwin, hello, Michael Hancock, Mark and Janice. Yeah, all the regulars are in the house. It's good to see everybody. Minge Pump, Gary Thornbury, Chris Card. I saw you earlier, Chris, saying first. You were the first to comment, and then for some reason it disappeared off. I had somebody complaining to me the other day by email that some of the comments are disappearing. When they make comments, they go, and what they do, they send me emails with what they commented, which is okay. I can see what they got up to. I had another guy as well who turned around and said he was getting a bit annoyed with me because apparently I never respond to any comments. Now, I made a hello, Erica, good to see you. I made a rod for my own back, first of all, because they're right. I never did respond to any comments. And before you know it, it gets completely out of control. So I thought, God, what am I going to do about this? So I thought, well, I'll do like once a week, twice a week, a comment read back video on a video, you know, where you've put your comments in. I'll do that. And then obviously we've got the lives as well. One thing I've learned with YouTube as well, I can take my mobile phone and I can respond to comments with a video. I can make like a small short and address a comment that you've made. So there's plenty of stuff in there with YouTube, and I try to get to them as often as possible. But hell, you can't please everybody all of the time. First serious subject. Has anybody heard of Jean-Marc? How old are you, Mr. Andy? That's a personal question. I'm 46 nearly. Yeah, has anybody heard of Operation Detroit? Operation Detroit. Give me a 1 in the chat if you have. I bet you're knackered, aren't you, Russ, after that drive? Jean-Marc, we guessed 45. Yeah, I'm 46 in a few months, so a little bit on. Mark and Janice. Yeah, Blue Angel, condolences to you. I saw the comment about your mum. Project Detroit. So I wonder if you've heard of it. Yeah, Clown World, you got it right, Sadiq. Took my daughter to lunch in bed today. Sorry, took my daughter for lunch today, in bed now. See, I get my words in a mucking fuddle just like you did. Yeah, Blue Angel, that's horrible news. And I hope you're going to be okay, and obviously your family as well. Yeah, Project Detroit was all to do with this thing within TfL, pay per mile, road user charging, which they're talking about, which at the same time they deny as well. And in fact, Sadiq Khan, Yoga with Helen, sorry I'm late. That's fine, you're here. That's the main thing. Yeah, Sadiq Khan actually stood there or sat there in the assembly and said that he has no idea what Project Detroit is. And I have to think, well, is he telling the truth or what? It was complete and utter deniability. Now, I just happened to see a Freedom of Information request earlier on Twitter before I came live. Project Detroit, you asked, I'd like to request some information under the FOI Act on the workers assigned to Project Detroit. Please specify. I would like to know how many staff there are, on which pay band are those people, yada, 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 yada. We answered, thank you for your request. This was January 2024. Asking for information about Project Detroit. Your request has been considered in accordance with requirements of the Freedom of Information Act and our information access policy. I can confirm that we hold some of the information you require. Now, in effect, they've got a whole list of different pay bands. You can see there, and I'll pull up the zoomed in version so you can see it. There we go. Pay band 2 through to pay band 4. So starting salary bracket £31,250, right up to 107,500. I assume that's technical advisors, consultants, analysts, right up to management level type stuff. Now you can see there 38. That's 41 members of staff. And that is a lot of money for something that he plausibly denies. You know, what the pay is of the 27 are non-permanent labour contracted via Reed and the 89 third-party consultants procured via the Crown Commercial Service, broken down in these pay bands. Pay bands are only applicable to permanent TfL staff. So there is a lot of money getting thrown at a project that seemingly doesn't exist. Now, Twitter can be a blessing and it can be a hellhole. Sometimes it's a goldmine of information. You can just be browsing through, and then all of a sudden, bang, there it is, right in front of you, and you know, it exposes something. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit personal. Nearly 2 years ago now, I lost a very dear friend of mine to cancer. And to be honest with you, it still cuts me quite deep today, even still speaking about it. And I saw on his son's Facebook page, Peter, his name is, Peter is going to be doing a charity bike ride in order to raise money for the Pilgrims Hospice in Margate, the local pilgrims that looked after him. And I want to show you what that is. I'm not asking anybody for any donations of any kind, but what I would appreciate is if you could share it around, if that's possible. As you can see, he wants to raise £1,000. I've got to throw some money in this myself yet, which I will do this evening. And he's raised 230 so far. And you can see, as you may know, I sadly lost my dad in June 2022. It was the 8th of June. After a strong fight, my dad meant the world to me. He probably had it. I can't read that, but you get the you get the gist. What I'm going to do is put that link in the chat, and if you can kindly share it, if possible, I would appreciate it, to try and get some traction to that very important cause. Because at the end of the day, the pilgrims, I've had involvement with them. They've done some fantastic work with members of my family that have gone because of that awful disease. And, they provide so much dignity at the end. They need all the support and backup they can get. So I would appreciate it. And as Julie says, please make sure you hit that like button. We've got 150 people watching. Appreciate your support. Subscribe to the channel and share the hell out of my stuff. I would appreciate it very much. Now, at this stage, I'll just have a look at a couple of the comments and see what's what. I'm seeing people saying, "Will do, Andy." I appreciate that. Peter actually doesn't know that I've done this, but it's a platform I can use for good. So if we can try and help raise awareness to that, we'll do. Jean-Marc, we are new from France. Well, welcome. I'm assuming what part of France you're from, judging by your screen name. We saw your piece about the electric ambulance. Yeah, that did a few views, that did, on the electric ambulance. So I just couldn't believe it. And again, I could link a personal story to it. And you just think these damn things have only got 100-mile range and they'll run out of juice and need 4 hours to charge up. It's crazy. Thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate the support there. You tell everyone about my channel. I actually get people now who, walking down the street, I'll be recognised. Not all the time, every now and again. There was a guy the other day, I walked out my local shop, and he was sat in his car looking at me. I thought, what the bloody hell's he looking at? And then he wound down his window. He said, "Oi, I'll be watching you later." Even my neighbour that lives over the back of the fence, he watches me too. Didn't realise that it was me until we spoke in the street. Chris, Indian owners of Jaguar are running it into the ground. Yeah, I'll tell you, Chris, one thing I'll be interested in is the results of that runaway EV. And you know what happened there with the brakes and everything. We'll see what happens, what that investigation, if anything, comes out with. One more comment, and we'll come back to those later. David, how come we can go on about St. Patrick's Day, St. Andrew's, but mention St. George's Day and we become raving? Absolutely right, David. Absolutely right. I'll tell you what, this landmass that we live in has lost some of its patriotism, hasn't it? I think it's been diluted, and the natural go-to is if ever you mention St. George, you'll get thrown at you by the lefties. What are you saying? He's not even English. He's Turkish. It's we seem to be denigrated in our own country, and it's disgusting. But I know exactly what you mean. I tell you, years ago, I lived in Canterbury, probably 28, 38, 25, 26 years ago. Now I lived in Canterbury, and where I lived, there was an alleyway. You walk through that onto the main road, and there was a pub. I think it was called the Ivy House, actually. And I walked in there one night. I knew it was St. Patrick's Day, and there were some Irish guys came in, and it's got to be the best piss up I've ever had in my life. I tell you, the Guinness was flowing, the Jameson's was flowing. It was such a great night, and they were so welcoming to little old English me, and it was fantastic. So got kicked out of the pub really late at night. I think we had a lock-in, actually. Staggered down the alleyway back home to my place and went to bed and slept very soundly. But that was great experience, and I have to do another one. Right, let's have a look at the next thing. Before I do, can I ask all of you that are in the chat right now, hit the like button. Let's try and get it up to at least 100, because it helps the algorithm move everything around, and I do appreciate that very much. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times Noel Wilcox. Noel Wilcox is heavily involved with exposing what's going on with the child maintenance service and how recently that links into veterans and how they're being treated by the Child Maintenance Service as well. It really is disgusting. And I want to show you a couple of clips. There's a good 45 minutes of this stuff online, and I'll try and dig out the URL. But this first one's Anne Widdecombe, and
we've got a government department that apparently just can act out with the law, independently of the law. The law is obliged by law to rubber stamp what they decide. How can that be just?
What Anne Widdecombe is basically saying there is that the Child Maintenance Service seem to be a law unto themselves. As soon as you say, right, you owe this amount of money, then that's it. There doesn't appear at this stage to be a great deal that anybody can actually do about it. It really is disgusting. Now, I've heard reports lately, and I get background contact all the time, where I'm being told that judges are now starting to agree or starting to side with those that are, you know, being pulled in and having their collars felt, which is brilliant, really. I want to play this one. It's a couple of minutes long, and it's actually Noel explaining how, you know, this whole entire racket works, and particularly the overinflation of a person's income.
Amount of money.
Exactly.
Yes. And that's been this ongoing battle that we've been seeing for a very, very long time, is that parents are doing everything they can to pay, but the state is inflating these incomes.
What I don't understand is why it's so difficult. I mean, it's quite right. You want to pay the appropriate amount of money. Sometimes people make mistakes, get things wrong. It should be relatively straightforward to say, okay, we've messed up there, we'll sort it out. And I'm guessing the vast majority are sorted out quite straightforwardly. But it does seem they actually pursue people without any evidence. We've got another clip here with Stephen Timms, the MP, and Joshua Redaway. Let's just take a look at this.
I've received, as I suspect a number of us have, quite a few angry emails. I'm forwarding you case details. The Child Maintenance Service has been awarded a liability order for a fictitious debt. There are many thousands of cases like this one. In your report, I noticed you put a figure of 99.35% on the accuracy of the child maintenance calculations. Are you satisfied that the large number of people saying that there is a fictitious debt are mistaken?
No, we're not satisfied with that. You know, we wouldn't necessarily use the word fictitious. However, it does mean that people are being pursued for debts that there is not the evidence to substantiate that they owe.
I mean, that is absolutely damning. I mean, there's be under no illusion about that. Yes, there's obviously the vast majority, as Stephen Tim says, the evidence are correct. But the idea that the state would pursue people for sums that are clearly fictitious by their own admission is unbelievable.
I mean, the astonishing thing there, Richard, what I've kind of picked up on, is just the lack of response from everybody. You know, this is the thing that I'm bamboozled by, really, is the fact that there's an admission of inflation here, and nobody has said, sorry, can I just understand, that you've been inflating incomes? That's an admission.
I mean, I hate to say it, but this has got all the rings of another scandal that we've heard about with great.
Yeah, so what's actually happening? They're being pursued for an amount of money, and then through assessments and all this sort of thing, incomes are being inflated by as much as 300%. So someone on 25 grand, something like that, 300%, it's a terrific amount of money, and people are left destitute because of this. Now, I did a live stream with Paz a little while ago, and he detailed his own experience with this, and it is absolutely shocking. That had a kind of happy ending to it. Blue Angel, lots of families are being charged thousands for overpayments for child tax credits. Something needs to be done. That's another thing, Blue Angel. I mean, what happens with this? You say, right, I earn this, I earn that, my circumstances are this, my circumstances are that. And the state will pay you an amount of money. And then if they cock it up, they try and blame you for it and recover the costs. So you're in this constant merry-go-round of, well, crap. And it's just stress, and it's awful, absolutely awful. Here's another clip from this same program. It'll be the last one, and it's a guy who basically had a liability order applied to his house because of all this going on.
I queried it. I said, well, I've never earned that much money. They said, well, that's the assessment, and because I hadn't responded within a certain time frame, they said I had to pay that much there and then. I gave my present employer's details, which was about 25k a year, but they still persisted with the 70,000 pounds, and they made their calculations based on that, and then chased me ever since. So I've been querying and sort of going back to them, saying, look, this is wrong, and could you correct it?
And where did it end up? Did it go as far as a liability order?
Yes. So later on down the line, a liability order was heard, but that was heard in a place called Salford, some 200 plus miles from where I live. So the liability order was granted, and then at the later stage, a charging order was then placed on my house.
So they placed a charging order, and did they try and sell your house?
Yes.
They tried to sell his house. So you put that 25 grand a year inflated by 300%. He's saying, you know, they're saying 70 odd thousand. At 300%, that's 75 grand, isn't it? If my adding up is correct. And they pursue people sometimes to the point of taking their own life with all of this. It's wrong, wrong, wrong. And when they start targeting veterans with this stuff as well, particularly those that have got, well, battle scars from operations, it's disgusting. It's just more mental anguish that can so easily be avoided. Let's have another look at the comments, and then we'll look at the next couple of things, and then we'll go from there. Ray Michael Taylor, good evening from Derbyshire. Hope you're well. I am very well. Ray Michael Taylor from Derbyshire. Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. Mark and Janice, keep getting emails from BBC saying that we have used BBC I. We need to buy a license or risk a visit. How desperate. Absolutely. And what they're doing as well, they're targeting older people with emails like that too. There was one in the paper recently. I mean, a lady who's either in her 70s or 80s. She got something, and obviously she's, what are we going to do? And all of a sudden, TV license. I got one, which I haven't had for a while, telling me my electricity meter's out of date. I need to do something about it. I thought, not that old chestnut again. Jean-Marc, you missed something on the form. You see the read that refers to Reed Employment Agency. Oh, okay. I will stand corrected on that. I was remiss. Reform BBC, another great channel. Hi, Andy. Good evening. Thanks, Andy, for your help. Shout out. You've done my channel. Got over 1,000 subscribers now. Thanks for your support. You're very welcome, Inspector C. Yeah, you know, I have my friends on YouTube, and you know, you and others, and if I can help any of you, I certainly will. And you know, we all have each other's backs. That's the main thing. That's what it's all about. Liz, happy St. Patrick's Day. It won't be long before they stop us having this celebration. Absolutely. And as somebody said earlier, you know, could you ain't St. George's Day? It'd be apoplexy. Could you imagine in London? Oh my God. Nigel back, I hear for reform as banned again. I did hear that myself. I want to read up a little bit more about that before I comment anymore. Michael Hancock, lost my wife 19 years ago to brain tumour and cancer. It's a shit, but I don't donate to charities whose CEOs earn more than me. That's the big thing with charities, isn't it? It's the very big thing with charities. There's certain veterans charities, there's certain charities to do with illnesses where the CEOs are on six figures, and you wonder how much of the money goes to the people it's meant for. That's what you have to watch out for, isn't it? That's what you have to watch out for. While we're on health matters, I want to mention something else about veterans again. I saw this, and I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, to be honest. I'll bring this up on the screen for you. Government delivers further expansion of health services to former armed services personnel. The government has launched a campaign to help improve veterans' access to healthcare services and opened applications to the £2.5 million Veterans Mobility Fund. Army uniform is slogan. I said I served and got support from my GP practice that was right for me. You can see all the guff here, but basically what they're talking about is if you've served in the armed forces, this is Johnny Mercer here. It's really important to tell your GP that you served so you can access all the veteran-specific support services you're entitled to. I want to encourage any veterans to come forward and seek help. We stand ready to support our veterans, yada, 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 yada. The idea being is if you sit in your doctor's surgery and say, oh, hey, hello, I served in Her Majesty's or now His Majesty's Armed Forces, put me to the front of the queue, give me what I'm entitled to. I want special treatment or whatever it is you happen to be. It's supposed to do you some favours, but where I actually picked that up, all the comments underneath weren't very complimentary. Some people went as far as saying, well, if you think that's going to do you any favours, think again, because it actually won't. So it's just another harebrained idea that isn't going to go anywhere. What he needs to concentrate on doing is get the people the financial assistance they need. He needs to get them the assistance with accommodation they need, the mental health they need, and everything else, not pass the buck to local GP surgeries that are overstretched already. It's a non-starter. Did he have honourable intentions? Maybe he did, but he's not going to achieve it all, is he? He's not going to achieve it all. Speaking of which, I saw this thing online, and it was entitled "Politicians' Logic," and it went something like this. It's like they could work on a problem all day long and not actually get anywhere. That seems to be what it is, doesn't it? Now, I saw a piece of news in London which really got me. I thought, Jesus, we mentioned this earlier about the Union flag or St. George's Day, English patriotism. Obviously, the English flag isn't the Union flag. It's the St. George's Cross. But here we go. This is about a chip shop owner who'd been running the business for over 20 years. I saw this. I thought, my God. Award-winning fish and chip shop ordered to remove Great British Union flag mural by local council. An award-winning chip shop has been told by the council it must remove a Union flag mural. Golden Chippy in Greenwich was told it had to remove the painting, which features the flag held by a humanoid fish and a slogan saying "A Great British Meal." That's what they're finding offensive, isn't it? The Great British Meal, as we were discussing. The shop's owner, Chris Canisi, and his staff were left puzzled by the decision from Greenwich Council, who said they made the order after a number of complaints were made to local ward councillors. So you can see it there. A Great British Meal. At the end of the day, it's a staple of Englishness, Britishness, isn't it? Fish and chips. Let's have some of that. And people have got the arse and they've rolled over and said, remove it. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Hell, there might be more to it, but, it is what it is. It is what it is. I have a question before I go back to the comments. I got an email yesterday, I think it was. I don't know if you remember, I had a guy on the channel called Sovereign Pete several weeks ago now. And we did an hour's live stream talking about council tax and all that sort of thing. I've had another email through from the Sovereign Project offering me a collaboration with another member of the Sovereign Project. Now, what I'd like, and it would be another collaboration about council tax. I would like a show of hands. If you want me to do this, give me a 1 in the chat, or 2 if you don't. So if you want me to talk to the Sovereign Project again, 1 if you do, 2 if you don't. One, 2, 1, 1. Well, the majority opinion is there, really. All ones. Yeah, what the Sovereign Project is, it's basically the best way to explain it. We're led to believe that things are a certain way, and we've been misled. That's the whole theory. And before that point in time, there are other laws and ways of doing things which apply to now, and we've been led to believe that none of them work and none of them are relevant anymore. Now, somebody put in there, not sure about the legality of it. That was Peter, and that's a very valid concern, because a lot of this stuff is you either try it or you don't try it, and I'm neither here nor there on it. I believe that the establishment standing there waving a big stick at you is not good enough. And if I can find a way to wave my own big stick back at them, then I will do so. And I like to put that information in front of you and see what you think of it. We have a discussion, and then you see what you think of it and where you want to go with it. It's just informing, and that's all it is. So it looks like I've got the majority opinion there that you'd like to see that again. So I will set that up for hopefully the next couple of weeks. I just wanted to get your say-so on it first. Well, we've got 280 in the chat, folks, and a few more on Facebook and no doubt Twitter as well. Welcome to the chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. And it's good to see everybody. Make sure you hit the like button, share the hell out of my stuff, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Pete, Black Belt Barrister, seems to think it was all hogwash. Black Belt Barrister will automatically say it's hogwash because Black Belt Barrister is a barrister. He's a qualified barrister. He's well read and all the rest of it, and he's a representative of that system, which is a different direction to what these guys are coming out with. So I want to put it all there, and then you can make your own mind up. Farthing mordant equals treasonous. You could well be right there. That's a disaster if they put her in place. Absolutely. Right, let's have a look at some more of these comments. Jean-Marc, check out the car brand Changgang. Never heard of it. You'll have to enlighten me a bit more. I know a fair few car things. Jeff Buys Cars invited me onto a live the other day, but the way he did it, he left me a tweet and said, "Come join me for a live. I'm doing it now." I thought, well, I can't really. So hopefully we'll get something set up again soon. Wendy, we are all buying St. George's flags for St. George's Day. We're sick of being told how to think, feel, and behave. Totally agree with you, Wendy. Totally agree with you. Now, I don't consider myself British. I consider myself English. Great Britain, United Kingdom, it's a political union of countries. England being one of them. That's where I sit. That's where I live. That's where I was born. I'm English. And if I can get behind and be patriotic about my country, England, I bloody well will. The same as anyone else. Although it's getting very difficult these days, isn't it? Cosmic Wartoad, Gary Thornbury, is the USA splitting up? Texas wants independence and National Guard. We call it the Territorial Army over here in Britain. Called out in New York. They've got a big problem with immigrants in New York, haven't they? Because from what I was reading, there was busloads of them getting shipped up there, and old Eric Adams was doing his piece over it. I've got a friend that lives in Westchester, a retired NYPD police sergeant, and he said something to me once. There's been a couple of late night flights in and out of Westchester, which are a little bit on the dodgy side. So who knows? Who knows? Android Lloyd, love it. The English don't celebrate on St. George's Day, England's patron saint. The 23rd of April should be a bank holiday. England don't celebrate their culture. We don't seem to, do we? We don't seem to. Michael Hancock, 40,000 on the watch list. Don't think even MI5 can watch that many, so only 1% going off. 400. Be prepared. That's still a lot, isn't it? Still a lot. Michael Hancock, wait until football season finishes, then summit of riots will occur, I predict. It's always around footy season, isn't it? Always around footy season. Pete, never donate to Oxfam, one of the biggest con jobs in the charity world. Do you know how much their CEO earns? I don't, but I can imagine it's a shed load. The Lodger, I'm going to a St. George's Day bash in London to celebrate Englishman of the Year. All monies raised go to charity. There'll be 1,800 in attendance. Nice one. I like the sound of that, especially if it goes to decent charities. Russ, the therapists I was referred to by the NHS hadn't had any experience with veterans. Thank you. There we go. They were mainly RTC trauma therapists. That was my experience with the new TILS service by the NHS. Right. Road traffic collision, I assume you mean now, RTC. Now, I remember from my car accident, which was quite a nasty RTC 4 years ago, I have an issue with it, which I discovered a short while back. I got a speeding ticket. I was remiss one night, didn't see the speed camera, was driving too bloody fast and got flashed. I know, shouldn't have done it. And I watched this video about speeds, you know, where you drive full pelt at cardboard boxes and brake at certain points. And I thought, something's wrong here, because I just froze. It's like I had a flashback. You know, it wasn't great. Wasn't great. And I wonder if it's still something locked in the brain there, but it's a different kind of trauma to what a battlefield veteran would experience. You know, and you have to have people trained and experienced. And as Russ pointed out, an RTC trauma clinician wouldn't be able to handle a veteran with complex issues. Michael, fed up with hearing protesters saying it's their right to free speech. It's not, if it's detrimental to British culture. That's the excuse all the time, isn't it? Free speech, free speech, free speech. We have a right to say what we want. We have a right to believe what we want, but it has to be done in a certain way, doesn't it? And you look in London at the moment, the sheer definition of free speech is in peril with the two-tier situation that we have up there at the moment. Nick B, we proud Englishmen celebrate on the 23rd of April. We should all stand as one on that day and demand our country back. Absolutely. I see there are some patriots here. I mean, I read a thing earlier to do with Sadiq Khan, where he's bitching and moaning about the change in the voting procedure for the London mayoral elections on the 2nd of May. And he's saying that it turns it into a two-horse race between Labour and Tories. And we've got to get out of that mindset. We have got to get out of that mindset, definitely. There you go. Jean-Marc, your council tax is too much. My council tax in France is only 489 euros for 1 year. Wow. Mine, hang on a minute. I got my bill through, and I've not done anything about it yet, but I'll just work out, because my brain's going a bit slow. 60 times. Just under £2,000, my council tax this year. And that's gone up by quite a way. Wendy Reynolds, if you're still in the chat, I've just been made aware of a message you've sent to me. I missed it. Please email me. Blood, can you put my email in the chat, the contact @ one, so Wendy can get hold of me. Terry, I wouldn't mind. I was born in Woolwich, which is in the Greenwich Borough, and to be honest, the place is a dump. The chip shop picture is probably the best thing to happen to the borough in years. What, the mural on the wall, you mean? You know, we get this with areas, don't we? We get decline, and then all of a sudden they start coming up again at some point, or they don't. Who knows? Reform BBC, BBC iPlayer. BBC make you sign in with an email address and then can trace your IP address. That's very true. If you log in and watch him without license, if it's run out, you should get a reminder, but they do not. Right. I mean, that's the funny thing with IP addresses, internet service provider IP addresses. When you're connected to the internet, you have a thing called a router, which is just a box that sits in your house somewhere near your phone, and your internet provider provides that an IP address, and generally it'll either have the same IP address all the time, or it can get given a different one, and then they can trace your location through that IP address. Now, what I would like to know, that's a very good point, Reform BBC, is how are they getting that IP address information from the internet provider? Is that a transfer of your personal data, I wonder? Britt Bazza. Andy, the laws that the government try to say is irrelevant is the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights, 1689. The only part of the Magna Carta, 1215, that stands is habeas corpus, but the entire Bill of Rights stands. Yeah, they've tried to make everyone believe that bits of it have gone, haven't they? Or bits that are inconvenient to the government. And I learned by doing this that not everything's as it seems. I'm an Englishman living in Wales, so I'm patriotic about England and Wales, but English first, then honourably Welsh, then finally British. Good, you know, good for you. Good for you. We all see ourselves as something, don't we? You know, depending on where we are, how things are. You know, each looks at themselves in a certain way, and you've got every right to. Be damned to anybody that tries to tell you different. Can you name a decent charity? Well, I mentioned the Pilgrims earlier. I happen to like them very much because of what they did for my friend, and you know what they've done for family members. But my main problem with charities is the sheer amount of money that the chief executives of these charities take. Royal British Legion, for example, RBL, how much money do they have sitting in their bank accounts? Millions. And we have the problems we do. Yeah, Care for Combat, Kirky Bailey. That's a very good charity. Mr. Question Mark. Hi, Andy. First time catching you live. Well done on the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I mean, we're getting fairly near 80,000 subscribers. I think we're 77,200. I mean, I couldn't believe Paz. He had a rich run of form with views and subs and everything, and he went flying past me. He's up to 83,000 or something. the old YouTube algorithm is a funny thing. It really is. But it's anybody that's on YouTube, what you have to realize, everyone gets obsessed with subscribers. You know, oh, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel, subscribe. People get pissed off with that. What you have to do is just put some kind of verbal or visual clue in there that that's what you want to happen. And it's about what the person's watching. If they like what you're doing and what you're coming out with, they'll subscribe to you anyway. So what you have to concentrate on is your watch hours. Get your average watch time up. Get your views up. Once you do that, the subscribers follow. That's what you got to do about it. But naturally, we're all subscribe. Robert, vote right, people, and spoil your ballots for real change. I do not consent. Absolutely. If you have no other choice on that ballot paper, those 4 words are what you should write. And, you know, I see comments from people all the time. And, you know, this is from the guy that says I never answer comments. They say that if you write I do not consent or whatever, it'll be a spoilt ballot, and, you know, don't bother turning up. What you're doing, if you do anything else, you're giving them tacit agreement to carry on as they please. So what you have to do is give them an indication that you're not happy. Again, I mentioned David Cameron and Nick Clegg way back when. Absolutely average. NHS therapists would usually be dealing with a person who has 1 or maybe 2 traumas. By the time I was assessed, I was dealing with 9. Oh my God. It's like a layer cake, isn't it, Russ? One after the other. And then you get anxious about dealing with it. And then other stuff that gets thrown at you in life, you worry about that too. And then it diminishes your mental capability to the point where you couldn't deal with things that you normally would be able to under normal circumstances. It's a massive shower. It really is. Britt Bazza, free speech has been eroded since Tommy held his freedom march 5 or 6 years ago. And they're still trying to bash him now, aren't they? I mean, do you see the one where he got nicked just for being out of his daughter? You got it, Andy. I mean, I suffered from mental health issues many, many years ago, depression primarily, not to the extent that a lot of other people can do, but I've been down that dark hole, and I kind of get it. And I know there's a way out of it. It's easy for me to say, I know, but it's one of those things. The lodger, Khan has ruined London. He's corrupt and he should not be in office. Well, you know, when you get this 2-horse race nonsense that he's coming out with, he's trying to keep it as it is, this first past the post system, 2-horse race, Labour, Conservative bullshit. Get out there and vote. You know, vote on your feet. But the problem is with the demographical change that we've seen in London, London for everybody, after all, it'll be a close run thing. Unless you can zero in on a particular issue and say, right, we've got to nail him on that. ULEZ being one thing, but is it enough? Tony, my GP diagnosed PTSD with me as a veteran. He wanted to send me to a drug and alcohol dependent God bothering place. Nah, not for me. Well, it's fair enough. You know, as long as you've got the support that you need, that's the main thing. Also, with PTSD, sometimes it doesn't manifest itself straight away. It can come and bite you on the arse 10 or 20 years after the fact. That's where it's a funny one. Mr. Question Mark, I don't know about anyone else, but the UK has not felt the same since the passing of our... Yeah, it's something changed. I'm not sure it is then, but I know exactly what you mean. Exactly what you mean. It's like there's a series of events falling into place. Blue Angel, £40 for green waste to be removed. They just charged £15 for winter time, and it was free before that. That's in Staffordshire. Ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. Anne-Marie White, good to see you. My council tax is going up by £12 a month. which takes it to 233. I thought I had trouble. It's terrible, isn't it? Birmingham, they want to put theirs up by, what is it, 21%? Something like that. And they're broke. Absolutely broke. The Gabby Cabby Diet Coke Fund, at least you know where the donations are going. Yeah, that is a good charity. Cheers. Right. Nick B, St. Luke's Hospice in my city, a decent charity, and the money they get in donations is actually used to provide end-of-life care. Absolutely. Places like that where they get a bit of dignity towards the end, you can't ask for anything more. Debs, most excellent adventures. I love it. My son gets his veteran card and pin the other day. I've seen them, but what do they actually entitle you to, these veterans cards? I get it, but what's different once you've got a veterans card? What can you do, or what are you entitled to? Brit Bazza, BBC Brussels bullshit channel. Oh, I love it. There's some great acronyms coming out. The BBC actually owe 33 million quid to the European Round Table of Industrialists and the European Central Bank. This can be checked up through there. Right, okay. Useful info. Thank you for that. Michael, give cash to a Macmillan nurse. Cut out the middleman. That's a good point. Had some good experiences with them as well. Robert, PTSD Camp in Bath is a great charity. Okay. There's some good names coming out, and a bit of exposure around, isn't it? Meow Moog, why are our men not standing and shouting? I don't mean the ones born in the last 20 years. I mean the actual men of decency, not the ones sticking their heads in the croc's mouth. I know what you're referring to. I do know what you're referring to. It's a shame. It's like the backbone's gone, isn't it? The backbone's gone. National Blood Bites are great charities, from delivering baby milk to life-saving plasma. They are helping everyone, all in community. You done that, Russ, didn't you? You actually done that yourself. I remember you telling me. If you're going to be back in parts local for a while, we'll have to try and meet up for a breakfast. That'd be good. Bar Brady, why is diesel 10p dearer than petrol per litre? It's a bloody con. I think one's subsidising the other. I had a piece of information come to me, and it was the wholesale price of this stuff. And if you have a look at the two, it should be reversed, and it's not. I mean, I've got a Shell fuel card, and the whole idea is effectively it's a fuel account, and I save 5 or 6p a litre every time I fill up. But even that 5 or 6p a litre saving isn't as cheap as it once was. Yes, it does help, but not as cheap as it once was. Jed, yet council tax has become extortionate, but the council fakers still refuse to fill the fucking great potholes in our roads. The council down here in East Devon even refused to fill 2 potholes outside. Yeah. There was a guy, he's actually a customer of mine, and in his road, there was a load of potholes that the council refused to fill in, or they just didn't act. So he did it himself and sent them a bill. And his nickname was Pothole Pete. I've seen that in the news fairly regularly. Kirky Bailey, 2018, the Legion recorded an income of 163.2 million and had reserves of 70 million. According to its last annual report. Each year, its nationwide poppy appeal reaped some 50 million. You know, I pay my respects every single year, on Remembrance Day. And it doesn't matter how far back in time it goes, somebody somewhere sacrificed everything. So we can sit here today talking about it. You've got... what I would term Walter Mitties, and they absolutely disgust me. These are people that say they served and actually didn't, or they overinflate their involvement in something, and there's always telltale signs that they're full of it. They make me sick. But you've got others that have done great things in the service of this country and its people, and they should be remembered. And I can't justify supporting an organisation sitting on that much money, is what I'm trying to say. I think it's a kick in the teeth to all their memories, but I may be being too harsh, but it's my opinion. Jean-Marc, best not to say anything about mental health in the UK. It's used against you. That's very true. Very true indeed. Terry, I was going to vote reform, but not now they've been infected with hope, not hate. We need reform. I'm saying the word reform rather than the party reform. Things can't go on as they are. There's a lot of criticism about Richard Tice with certain things that he said and done. I can see that. But there are some good people within the party. There's some very questionable people that have been associated. And I don't like some of the decisions I've heard about or read about. It stinks very much of establishment, and we don't want that. We want new, we want fresh people like Noel Wilcox. If he lived in my area, I'd vote for him all day long. He's a sound bloke, but we need normal, honest to God people who are just going to do the right thing by their communities. And until we get to that point, and until we can show that there is something there that will do that, we're going to get stuck in the same mire, which is where we get to I do not consent. Just out of interest, what's the price of diesel in the London area now? I'm paying $1.49 a litre for diesel and $1.39 for petrol. Well, I live about an hour and a half from London, and my local Shell garage was $1.52 for diesel. I couldn't believe it. I get it for, I think, $1.45 on my card this week. And I can't remember what unleaded was, but I know between here and London, it is quite similar. Sometimes London's actually a little bit cheaper than us. Pete, have you got any idea how many levels of tax there are on petrol and diesel? I seen a receipt once. Somebody did actually explain it to me, and it's an utter liability. I know that. Paid 135.6 recently for petrol. I remember when it went £1 a litre, and they were all saying, if it goes £1 a litre, we're all going to go mad. And look how it's continued to go up. EDF in the UK make as much profit as they can get away with, and then send it back to France to subsidise prices there. And it's all on the cheap. Deb's most excellent adventures. If the Germans and Brits saw the future, they'd put their guns down and walk off. Yeah, you could be right. And those guys that played the football in no man's land in World War One, they might have thought better about things as well. Blue Angel, it costs lots for your car to be repaired with all these potholes. They've been reported, but the holes still keep getting bigger. Yeah, they don't repair things properly either, do they? It's like a patchwork quilt. Michael, that Northamptonshire chief was a Walter Mitty. God knows what his underlings are like. Is that the one that was wearing the dodgy medal? Is that the guy? I remember that. Oh, Jesus. We had I forget his name, but we had a man who was a local councillor here. I'm going back a few years. And he made claims he was in the SAS, and he had an OBE and a few other things. And we sat down and worked it out that he was actually the most decorated combat soldier of peacetime. It just didn't make any sense. An ex-para, and 1 para and 2 para had never heard of this guy. And do you know how we rumbled him in the end? What's your army number? So long ago, I can't remember. Boom, got him. Because that's drummed into you so much, you never forget it. But Unplugged, the BBC get around 3.7 billion a year, and it still doesn't put anything good on. That's true. It's repeats or shit, isn't it? Meow Moog, get some cameras, cheap for your property, get fences repaired, doors, etc. Honestly, next year it's going to get tough. Buy beans, laugh out loud. I kid not. Beans, good for the heart. Yes. I have security installed in my house along those lines. You know, when you do this sort of work, it's just an added level of, you know, just securing your home and your family. It's got to be done. Butts Unplugged, it's about 144.9 for petrol. Oh my God. That's outrageous, isn't it? Right. Nick, do you know how much most of the cost of a packet of ciggies is tax? I'm so glad I quit 20 years ago. I quit 14 years ago. And I'll tell you what, I went to Gran Canaria, as you know, and I saw B&H Gold. I used to smoke them when I was a smoker. They were €5 for 20. So what's that, £4.50? Over here, you're looking at 17 quid. So that gives you a clue. Matt, round here, it's 151 diesel, 148 petrol. Petrol is better than electric. Yeah, tell that to the NHS. 153.9 a litre in Somerset. Oh, I've not been there for years. Used to go there on holidays a lot. 16 quid for a pack of 20. When I was a stupid kid, they were £3.70. Someone's making money. Absolutely. I started smoking when I was 13. I used to share a packet of B&H Gold with my mate, Richard. And we used to get... I knew you was a B&H man, Andy. Ha ha, filthy mug of gutters. Yeah, we used to get 20 B&H for £1.98 back in the day. And I'm going back 30 years at least. It's a long, long time. It's mad. 10 Regals, 57 pence. Wow. Well, everyone, we've had some good numbers in tonight. A few little stories for you about CMS, veterans, and a couple of other bits, and a good load of comments. Angela, Andy, have you heard from Ryan? Yes, I have heard from Ryan. He's okay. He's recently moved house. I've been in contact. Well, I'm in contact with him fairly regularly. He's taken a step back from YouTube at the moment, but he's perfectly fine and absolutely fine and dandy. And I will be sure to say that you asked after him next time I speak to him. So that's good. Thank you very much. Deb's most excellent adventures. What neck of the woods are you from, Andy? Southeast England. So some people mistake me for a Londoner, but if you think of Kent and a district called Thanet, that's where I live. Well, yeah, good show. Got loads of people in. Great. Nearly 250. I think there was over 300 at one point. So that's some good numbers this evening. We've got some great new subscribers on the channel. I've changed things a little bit, the way I'm doing stuff. A few more walkabouts, changing the thumbnails and things. Things seem to be rocketing along in the right place, and people keep mentioning that I might get one of those 100,000 subscriber things someday soon. So fingers crossed. Anyway, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share the hell out of my stuff. Videos coming out. Yeah, that's right. Nigel did have a punt down here. I remember going to see him. Yeah, there'll be videos coming out tomorrow morning from 8 o'clock, 8 and 9 o'clock, and another couple after that when I actually get to do them. So until then, I bid you toodaloo.